Good afternoon. It is March the 3rd, 2018, and I'd like to call the school board meeting to order. At this time, I want to make a comment about a meeting that was last night and commend our principals. It was the drug summit that our own Tom Cleveland is very involved in, and the principals did an outstanding job, gave a very personal presentation about their roles as leaders in the school, as well as parents of students who are in the school, and what they see on the front lines as far as drugs in our schools. And I just want to publicly commend you on what you did and the part that they play in helping our students get the best education possible. It was a wonderful meeting, and certainly it's very rewarding to be in a community that takes this issue very seriously, and publicly thank Tom for his service in that area as well. At this time, Kristin and Morrissey will lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful to live in a county that is so blessed with dedicated teachers, staff, students, and families. Father, once again, we ask that you keep our community safe as our students prepare to be the next great leaders of our country. We especially ask that you watch over our military and public safety personnel and keep them safe as they protect us both here at home and abroad. May those of families affected by today's events in Maryland be lifted up by the grace of your heart in the days to come. Lord, guide us and direct us as we do the work that you have come to call us to do, that you may be pleased with the results of our efforts. In your name we pray. Amen. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have before you an agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Thomas, second by Nancy. All in favor? Unanimous. This time we'll have recognitions with Joey Perkle.
Good afternoon. We have not several, but we have a couple of very important recognitions this afternoon. It's always an honor to be able to recognize folks in our district and staff and students for the great things that they do. Our first recognition is a wrestling champion from North Forsyth High School. I'd like to talk just briefly about his career. It says that he is a two-time area champion and three-time state qualifier. He finished 4th at the state tournament in 2016, 5th in the state tournament in 2017, and has 161 career wins, which is second all-time in North Forsyth High School history. Currently, the 2018 season, it's a 40-0 with 25 pins, whatever that means. I'm sure that's very important. I'm sure it's really, really good. An area champion, a sectional champion, as well as a state champion at 160 pounds. So we congratulate and ask him to come forward down this side and across this way. Connor Carroll from North Forsyth High School.
Congratulations, well done. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Probably should have studied it.
It ends.
Wrestling for you, Steph.
It ends at 30 minutes, so yeah.
We think you didn't show Joey what.
I think I know enough about it to know I don't want him to show me. And I know he has family and friends, and Mr. Cheney is here. So if you would stand so we can thank you for your support. Coach, yeah. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations. Our second recognition this afternoon is our Reach Employee of the Month. It's a very important recognition as well. We'd like to thank Nellie Nissan for their sponsorship. Ask you to come up, please. We appreciate them. They're huge sponsors of this recognition, and we appreciate all they have done and do for our school system. I'd like to read just a 2 or 3, as there are about 2 pages of really small print of a lot of things that folks had to say about this employee. First of all, she's always willing and excited to help with in-class projects, even with her busy schedule. She's always willing to help students going through the line with any questions or concerns they may have. I feel as though she goes above and beyond as cafeteria manager. Since she started at Big Creek, she has made it apparent that she wants to get to know each and every staff member and student. She makes being in the lunchroom fun by giving silly names to the meals and creating meals that are popular with our growing Indian population. She's a very caring and giving person to work with. I am glad that I get to see her smiling face each and every morning. Another person said she's always engaging with the students and getting them involved in the cafeteria and menu making process. She seeks out students and teacher feedback in order to encourage everyone to try new things. She works hard to ensure the cafeteria is maintained properly and provides great customer service for students, teachers, and guests. Another person said she does anything she can to engage the students and families and contribute to our school. She and her team work to create an Indian dish to encourage more students to eat in the lunchroom. She goes above and beyond her daily job requirements. She's always happy to help. She makes the cafeteria fun, engaging, and a fun, engaging learning experience for all children. She's always friendly and polite, makes an effort to talk to and get to know the students. She decorates the cafeteria to make it inviting and changes the displays to suit the season. She's respectful of her staff and treats everyone as equals, and the cafeteria always seems like a nice place to work. She makes staff and students feel good, and she leads a great team who all work well together and make our school better. Help me congratulate our REACH Employee of the Month from Big Creek Elementary School, Ms. Shelley Gerstner.
Thanks for all you did. Thank you.
Now, if we have family, friends, Big Creek staff here to support Ms. Gerstner, will you please stand so we can thank you for supporting her? Thank you. Last week was School Board Member Appreciation Week, and certainly we could not do any of the things we do in our school district without supportive school board members. And, you know, we're very fortunate in Forsyth County to have 5 very supportive school board members. I wanted to thank them personally and from all the staff at the district office and even beyond that, all the staff in all the schools, that we thank you for your support, for your service to our school district. The thing that I think that is really unique about each and every one of these board members is what I used to tell teachers when I was a principal is if you don't really have a heart for children, then you're in the wrong business. And our school board members all have hearts for children, and I think that's what makes them superb, and I think that's what makes them stand out above and beyond everything else. So I appreciate that, and so at this time, would help me to congratulate and thank our school board members. Starting on this end, as we have Miss Ann Crow. Ms. Kristin Morrissey, Ms. Nancy Roche, Mr. Tom Cleveland, and Ms. Darla Light. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I think we have our Superior Performance Spotlight, which is Ms. Fonda Harrison.
The honor of introducing our Superior Spotlight for tonight, And we have from South Forsyth High School, Mr. Kevin Denny and his group to share with us about the IB program at South Forsyth High School. Mr. Denny has been the IB coordinator at South Forsyth High School for 10 years. He coordinated their 5-year review that we just finished in January, and that hopefully we're just waiting to get that back, I think. So we're proud to have them here tonight to share the successes of the IB program.
I'm just going to turn it over to the kids because I know you'd rather hear from them than from me. And they're going to tell you a little bit about the program, just a very short snippet, and then tell you what it has done for them and why they feel it is valuable.
Hi, my name is Drew Quigley. I'm a senior at South Forsyth High School, and I'm in the IB career program in the engineering pathway.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe Nathan. I'm a senior at South Forsyth High School, and I'm a senior in the diploma program.
Hi, I'm Naga Chumputi. I'm a senior in the diploma program.
Spacebar?
Yep.
We have 2 programs in the IB program, the diploma program and the career-related program, which we'll discuss tonight.
And our diploma program has been around for 19 years at our school.
Our career program has been around for 5 years and is currently growing.
Just like Forsyth County as a whole, our IB program has been growing very well since its conception 10 years ago.
And part of the diploma program for IB is CAS. It stands for Creativity, Action, and Service. And because I'm in IB, part of our experience is volunteering, doing activities, volunteering for the school, doing projects that would involve the community. And because of that, I've grown out of my shell, come out, become more of an active participant in society, and become more aware of societal problems, especially in our community, and growing more aware of other people and what I can do to contribute to society.
IB is really great in that it has a learner profile, which is sets of values that it expects out of its students. Aside from just individual classes, it really strives to grow the entire student. So I've placed on the screen a couple of values that I've felt that IB has really helped me with: being knowledgeable, being reflective, being caring. And I think this is definitely, aside from just being academically rigorous, it has definitely helped me grow as a whole person.
For the career program, it really allows students to have a certain passion with the career field. For me, it's engineering. To really engage in that career field throughout high school and be very active in their career organization, as well as maintain the high level of excellence that the IB education brings to enrich the entire person.
So you're combining the career pathway with the IB program. Is that what you're? Is that
Yes,
how?
ma'am.
That's okay.
For the career program, we have about 5 or 6 certain pathways at South Forsyth
Okay.
that give students the opportunities to branch out. We have marketing, we have business, we have culinary as well, and it allows us to enhance our skills in the workplace, some of our soft skills, how to do interviews, how to conduct ourselves in a
Okay.
professional manner.
Okay.
Part of IB is, I think my experience has completely changed in how I view college and what I want for my career later on. And my application process for IB has completely changed. And during the fall while I was applying, I definitely used a lot more of my experience from IB. A lot of the projects I did, a lot of the volunteer service I did was a big part of my application. And for what I'm considering for college is definitely very different from what I was considering before.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about my future too. Thank you. I'll be going to Emory next year, and as a prominent research university, it expects that you not only have strong STEM skills, but also strong humanities skills and strong creative thinking and writing skills across the board. IB has definitely helped me with this. Having to write papers inside and outside of school and growing my own skills in class has definitely helped me be prepared for next 4 years of my life.
IB has really allowed me to kind of enhance my global perspective about how all the education and arts interrelate with each other. Before IB, I'd definitely say that I kind of saw things in one direction, where I saw how sciences and engineering would relate, but I wouldn't exactly see the entire picture, so to speak, how the ethical considerations of the decisions you make in the engineering pathway as well as the sciences affect other people, not only in your community but out in the rest of the world. And in the IB program, it's really allowed me to get a heightened perspective about what really matters. Next fall, I'm still deciding in between Georgia Tech for their engineering and Villanova's engineering program. And I'm hearing back from a few more schools in the next 2 weeks.
Good.
So, very excited.
Good luck. Yeah. So how many students are in IB this year?
We have 39 seniors this year and 36 juniors in the diploma program.
Okay.
In the CP program, we have 16 seniors and 21 juniors, if I'm remembering right. We've got about 30 juniors coming into CP next year and about 23 seniors coming into DP.
So I'm just asking all the questions.
That's okay.
I usually do ask a lot of questions. But all I can remember, at one time that IB, that most of the classes that you had were classes where you had to analyze and everybody had different views and you had to defend how you believe about things, and all your classes are like this, plus the career stuff that you're doing as well.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you do anything else? I mean, it just blows my mind. And you're talking about all the projects you do on top of that? Really?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Sometimes during the school year, mostly during the summer, I volunteered at the library, and I had a job last year. I'm looking for a new job this year, and also now that I have to say it, it's like, what did I do? I promise.
What would you give advice for somebody who was considering the IB program? Somebody.
I don't think you could be prepared for the amount of work and expectations you have, but I think taking the step forward is definitely the effort needed to do the program. But also I think that also being ready and being open-minded is part of the process. So not only is school part of the IB program, it's definitely more social and includes a lot of out-of-school elements that makes the program whole.
So you all are like your own family, so to speak, right?
Do you want to speak to that, Chloe? You always want to talk about that.
Oh, I'd love to talk about that, yeah. I have to say, before the IB program, I definitely, I'm a complete nerd. I love academics. That has always been my path, but IB has really forced me to kind of get out in the community, like Naga said, and, be a part of something bigger than myself. I started tutoring for young children. That definitely helped. It pushed me to become more of a leader in the clubs that I am in at school, and that helped me, coming into, I changed schools and came to Forsyth County in 8th grade. So the IB program really helped solidify those relationships that I had been, going back and forth with different friendships, because I finally had this unifying event with everybody. And so even if you're not close to someone, if you say, if you know someone from the IB program, you always know they're there to help you. So I think that's really important.
That's great.
Kind of magically, the DP and the CP kids they've kind of gelled together too, which is strange because they are different kind of approaches to it.
Well, that's what I was wondering, how that all worked together. Well,
I remembered some things if you would like to know. I did marching band for all 4 years. So
oh my goodness.
That's a lot of practice.
For the first semester, it's about 20 to 25 hours per week. And this year, I'm organizing my own event at the public library during the spring. So I don't think I could have done any of this without IB.
Wow.
They are all very active. I'm like you. I can't even imagine how they figure out their time schedule. They're very good at time management.
Well, you all are three impressive young people. I'll tell you, you're certainly leaders. Yes.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, great job.
We'd love for you to stay, but this would be a good time if you would like to leave to do, but we have a great agenda coming up with a report on social emotional learning, so please stay if you'd like, but if you would like to slip out, this would be a good time.
Students must be for a class or something. Students, wouldn't you think? That's what I'm thinking. Since they weren't involved in any awards. And they're staying.
I talked, the lady that's finding David's mom's house works in Trinity.
No.
And she said they only feed maybe 300 kids a day. And it's because
Just saying, yeah.
you know, that was in her comments a couple of times, and that was what she said. I couldn't believe it. I was in school.
I don't know what it can be. It's all boys. Right. That's what's unusual.
Just the word.
Okay. We're going to resume the meeting. If anybody ever has any questions about some of the things we're getting ready to discuss, before we go to executive session, please, we'll be glad to answer any questions for you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Darla, second by Kristin. All in favor? Unanimous. We have public participation. Is Mr. Hutchinson here? Is he not here? Okay, did not show up. All right. First presentation we have will be finance report with Rick Gunn.
Good evening.
Hello.
Tonight I bring you the February 2018 financial statements. Moving right along through the year. First statement is the cash receipts and disbursements. You can see we began the month with a little over 131 million, received 23.4 million, dispersed 34.4 million, leaving us a balance of a little over 120 million. Year-to-date budget report. For revenues, you can see the first line there, ad valorem taxes, we're at 98.23%, and we should collect 100% of that number, and we're at almost 79% for the year. Year-to-date budget report, revenues versus expenditures. You can see expenditures, we're at 66.6%, we should be 66.7%. So we're right where we should be. No room for error, though, so we're right where we're supposed to be at. Of course, the largest expenditure area, instruction, just over 66% there. Debt services for the month. Debt service account, we had no payments for the month from the regular debt service. SPLOST 4 did have a transfer out of about $5,400,000. And SPLOST 5, you can see we collected $3,012,000 for the month, giving us a balance of $6,773,000. Investment summary for the month. The general fund investment earned a little over $40,000 for the month, and you can see the other capital project investments laid out there with the SPLOST 4 and 5. And SPLOST analysis for the month, it collected $3,012,000. The total collected to date for SPLOST 5 is $22.5 million, with an average of $3,216,000 a month.
That is so good to see.
Yes,
that
it
it's been
is.
consistently over $3 million.
Yes, it is.
Sure.
Cash receipts and disbursements. All schools reported for the month, this page being the elementary, next middle, and the highs, and a total cash balance of a little over $10 million in the school accounts. And there's a pie chart there that shows you where the monies are. So any questions on the financials for February?
Anybody?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's good. And the next person, Ms. Debbie Smith, will give us a report on social emotional learning. And I have to say that Debbie has led the way on this movement in our school system with a lot of other people. But she coordinated the principals last night at the meeting, and the questions, Debbie, were so good and so right on. I just can't, that was, to me, the best part of the meeting.
They did a great job.
They
It was so
really,
nice
really
seeing
did.
all of them up there together.
Yeah.
So Fonda, up here in City. So with the everything that's going on, in the public, we thought it would be a good time to share with you an overview of social-emotional learning, both from a proactive lens to the prevention and intervention lens of what's going on. A lot has happened and been accomplished in the past 2 years, but there is a great deal more to come and a lot of planning. So we know you're getting a lot of questions about safety and other things, so we wanted you to have this piece, so when you do get those questions, you'll know what we're doing and what our thoughts are. I think one of the most important things as I bring this up is that, and Dr. Bearden has said this many times, it's all embedded into our learner profile, and it's integral to our learner profile. Also, it's just important that we understand that it impacts students, our faculty, our parents, and our community. And so I hope what you see tonight is that we're trying to come at it from a really big lens, but this is going to take 5 to 7 years to get where we want to be. So we're going to start by talking about our goals. So the goals as they stand right now is to provide professional learning and support for our staff members so they can model the way and create classrooms that support students. We were able to bring in an outside consultant this year to do training with our principals, and unanimously our principals said we need to start with our staff. We need to make sure that they're well trained so they can model the way. We need to work on their social-emotional learning so that we're all on an even playing field. The second goal is to equip all students with the self-awareness, self-management skills, the social awareness, the relationship building, and the responsible decision-making that will help them achieve success. And to decrease the mental health concerns, which you'll hear tonight, we have several concerns about that. Decrease suicidal ideation, which we have alarming numbers of that. Decrease substance abuse. And provide adult connections for all students at all levels, which is something Dr. Bearden has supported 100%. And also to support our students and our families in reaching the goals of our learner profile. And I will say that bringing the families into the picture and making them part of the team perhaps is our biggest challenge. But it's probably the most important one.
Because the definition of family has changed.
Yes.
So much, yes.
Yes, it has.
So with this particular slide, Debbie and I talked about it, and she said, since it deals with academics and careers, Fonda, why don't you talk about this? And it really is the foundation to academic performance and success in careers. I'm not going to read all the bullets to you, but just specifically mention a couple of those. The very first one there for academic outcomes, 11 to 17% increase in academic achievement. We see that in our classrooms on a regular basis for those students that we are emotionally supporting and helping build that foundation for. They achieve so much better in the classroom because they feel that they just feel better about themselves. They feel that support. So we work to do that. Also on the life outcomes, if you think about the presentation last night and that event last night, and you look at all the bullets that are involved in that particular section under life outcomes, that all of those are encompassed in that particular thing, and that's something that we're working on, decreasing the likelihood of those outcomes with social-emotional learning. And then for the benefit and cost, that speaks for itself. For every $1 invested, you earn $11. So there's really, that is our impetus, and helps us understand and really be able to say it's worth the time and the money and the effort that we put into this to know the outcome that it has for our students. And when Debbie talked about working with our administrators this year and first before we work with our teachers, but a lot of the work that we've done with our administrators this year in supporting the teachers is really socially and emotionally supporting them, because they feel a lot of the stress that the students feel as well. They have their evaluations. They have, the stresses of supporting those students in the classroom and being a support system for them and a barrier in some ways for them and things that they have to face themselves. So that's really something that we've talked about this year as we've worked with our administrators, is that's integral. We can't overlook the social and emotional well-being of the teachers that we deal with every day, because if they're not well themselves, we can't expect them to support our students like they should be supporting.
Because they're working so many hours.
Exactly. So that's really, that was really, I think we didn't initially think about that. But as we worked through all of this, it was like, wait a minute, our staff and our teachers are feeling a high level of pressure and stress themselves, whether it's their own lives, whether it's their jobs, whether it's working with their children and those kinds of things. So we have to make sure that we're supporting them as well.
That's a foundation, just a basic, really. But
Exactly.
something that you don't think about.
Right.
Well, Dr.
Yes.
Bearden,
Right.
you bring that up a lot, about finding balance. It's something you've talked to the staff a lot about.
Absolutely critical.
So we listed here, and Fonda, you might want to share some of these, some points to remember about social emotional learning, because a lot of times people get social emotional learning mixed up with character ed. It's so much bigger. So we included this on here for you all.
Right, so again, just some of those to actual focus on. It's being intentional about basic life skills. We always talk about, we support these types of things, but if they're not things that we are intentional about, then it's not necessarily going to occur. It's just like with our administrators, we talk about we have to get out and do observations of teachers in the classroom. But if we're not intentional about putting those things on our calendars, they're not necessarily going to occur. So in working with our administrators and working with our teachers, it's about intentionally planning those basic life skill lessons with teachers and having them as a part of their lesson and integrating them into what they're doing in the classroom. Also, that last bullet there, developing self-management skills and resiliency to control emotions and behavior with everything that's occurring now. That is so important in working with our students, because it just the blink of an eye, the snap of a finger, and how we work with our students to build up that resiliency and how you manage those emotions when you're in those stressful or scary types of situations that they sometimes encounter is really important. Developing that social awareness and interpersonal skills to build and maintain positive relationships. That's what we hear from post-secondary. That's what we hear from the workplace. Those are the skills and experiences that our students need to come prepared to deal with and to be ready for when they get into that next level. And then that last one there, as far as embodying the development of grit, life balance, goal setting, character building, communication skills, as well as empathy and respect for others. A lot of those programs that Debbie had mentioned, those character building programs, focus on those kinds of things. So it's important that we have those types of programs to help us support it, but it goes beyond just having those programs in the schools.
And I will also add that Valerie, in her workforce meeting last week, they talked a lot about soft skills and the importance of that. And so that's all embedded into this. Our schools are doing some really great things. And one of the things that we wanted you to know tonight is that this really touches all departments at the district level and every school. They're doing wonderful things, whether it's Habitudes or Ron Clark, or we have the C program now at Denmark and DeSana, 7 Mindsets. But the commonality are the SEL competencies that you see there. That's the basic, I don't want to say standard, but it is the basic map of the skills that the kids need. The other things that the schools are doing, they're tools to get there. They're motivators, and they're wonderful. But we've got to make sure that we're building, like Fonda said, intentionally the skills that they need.
So serving the needs together with a watchful eye on challenge and care, like Debbie said, it really is impacting so many departments here at the central office and how we're working with our schools. And it's not about lessening the challenge or providing less challenging work. It's about maintaining challenging work, but keeping a watchful eye on how the students are actually managing that challenge, being able to support them and teach them those skills and knowledge and that grit that they need to be able to manage and get through those types of challenges themselves. We can't not challenge them, whether it's academically, whether it's personally, whether it's athletically. They need those challenges to build their character. Right. So it's not about lessening that challenge, it's about supporting them through that challenge and teaching them how to manage that themselves.
So like time management so they're not stressed?
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
Or persevering even after you fail. Failure's the greatest learning tool.
Yep. So I think teaching and learning is next. So just to give you an idea of how we feel like teaching and learning has impacted and is working through social emotional learning with our schools. First of all, you all, realize that we started with social emotional learning when we were talking about personalized learning 2 years ago. And when we started talking about it, it was one of the 4 pillars. We had 4 pillars. And social emotional learning was one of those pillars that we were talking about. But as we went through that work, we realized that it didn't need to be a pillar in itself.
No, it's a strand.
It's something that goes across all learning in our classroom. So it really, with that next bullet there for Tier 1, it's something that needs to happen in every classroom and every day as a part of the teacher's lessons in their classroom. So that really is that Tier 1 general education teacher in their instruction every day with every student. They need to have opportunities to have exposure to social and emotional learning and what that actually feels like and being able to support them, not just for one part of the day or one period of a 5-day week or something like that. It needs to be part of every day and the instruction in there. Also, that it's embedded in all their experiences, like I talked about with our K-12 literacy framework that we've developed that's getting ready to be rolled out in May, the digital citizenship that Kristin has shared with you that she's worked through, and all that the exposure that children have through social media and other opportunities through digital exposures, how to manage all of that, and then also, as Debbie mentioned, the career pathways. You all know Valerie's done a great job in working with our local community. They just went through mock job interviews at all of our high schools, and that is helping to build and support our students and their skills in managing those types of interviews and those types of stressful situations for them. They're not necessarily accustomed to being in an interview type situation, and we feel like that's our responsibility to share and teach that with them. As far as professional learning, also Debbie mentioned this, we've worked this year with our administrators, principals and assistant principals, on what is social emotional learning. We brought in a professional consultant to be able to work with principals and assistant principals, and again, that was a focus on what is it, being able to support our teachers in what it is, and then work with them first, and then be able to roll it out with our students. And then also, we wanted to take it to the level of working with our counselors, graduation coaches, and instructional coaches, because those are people who directly impact our students on a daily, regular basis. And so we're working with Dr. Emily Rubin from the Marcus Institute that Sarah Taylor has brought in several times to work with her special education teachers. But she's coming in to work with our counselors, graduation coaches, and instructional coaches actually this Thursday on the brain and how the brain can function within social emotional learning, and help the counselors and the coaches and how they can support teachers in the classroom. So we're really excited about being able to take that step in supporting our adults first so that they understand it, so that we can better support our students. And then the fact that social emotional learning provides the opportunity to understand oneself and then learn and respect others in schools and the community as our focus.
And we have a part in this too. As they've already mentioned to you, our staff is very important, and I've got a couple of suggestions of how we are working on this. As you know, we've got our Forsyth Teacher Academy, our alternative certification, and we benefit from that too, because as our new teachers come in and we're training them our Forsyth way, we're training them in our first boot camp on the essentials of teaching, and in their seminar sessions, we use the CASEL competencies. You'll see that on the last bullet there, the initials, but it stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. So we embed that throughout their first session with us, all their other sessions, and we've cut it across all the program components so that everything they do emphasizes how important the social emotional learning is. That also helps them understand their role in social emotional learning and where they ought to be, so it benefits everyone concerned. Also, it's embedded in our induction program. We have it in our mentor and mentee newsletters. It's learning courses. When our school-based induction leaders throughout the system get together in their summer retreat, it's always a part of their agenda to talk about how do we build this in, how do we make our teachers resilient also, and how do we do that intentionally. We are also in Human Resources partnering with the Student Services to become a partner in how we can help foster wellness. And we will start with administrators and develop that in the hopes that we will be able to retain our good people who work with us. And of course, I have to say thank you for the additional social emotional support personnel that you all, under Dr. Bearden's guidance, have added to our schools, high schools, but particularly in some of our elementary schools. That's greatly appreciated, and it'll go a long way to helping.
Good.
Let me first start by saying it's been a real joy to work with all the different departments on this initiative, and it's, I think, so important, so it's been nice to collaborate. In the special education department, we've had 6 main goal areas that we've been focusing on for several years now. 3 of those goals have to do with social emotional learning of our students. The first one that you'll see here is our implementation of dialectical behavior therapy. We offer this this small group counseling session within our specialized instructional classrooms for students with behavior disorders. We've actually piloted for 2 years, and now we're actually on our 2nd year of full implementation. We contract with an outside agency to come in to lead these small groups. It really is focusing on increasing the emotional and cognitive regulation. We teach students how to learn about the triggers that they may experience, give them the coping skills to help them not have those triggers. Also to have positive behaviors to avoid undesired reactions that we want to see in those students. So the really cool thing this year is that we also added some parent training components to it. And we've actually had each semester we've had some Saturday afternoon trainings where we've included the students in those trainings, because once we get the students out, the parents typically will follow. And so in those training sessions, the parents have learned some of the skills that we have been teaching the students. So for example, one of the areas that we always talk about is contributing to others, because we know when we do for others, that typically makes us feel better. So they got together in a small group and did Valentine's Day cards for their community leaders. Another thing they did was they talked about positive experience and how important it is to have those positive experiences. And many of these families have experienced trauma. So in their station, they got together with their child and came up with some community activities that they can do together so that they, again, would have some more positive experiences in their day. We teach them about the TIP, which stands for temperature change. When we get frustrated or aggravated, we might get hot and we need to step outside and just take a break. We also talk about intentional exercise, and you guys know how important that is. Pace breathing and how important our breath is and being intentional with it. And then, of course, progressive muscle relaxation, where you tense up your muscles and then you release them to try to get that regulation. So that was another trick that our parents learned, was how to use the TIP model. And then 2 other programs, again, like they were mentioning earlier, that Fonda was mentioning, was our work with Emily Rubin. We have been consulting with her for over 4 years now. She works closely with us on 2 different projects. One is the SEEKS model, and the SEEKS model we use in 10 of our preschool classrooms. We had 5, actually we had 5 the first year, and then this year we have an additional 5. In the SEEKS model, it really is a tier 1 and 2 type of intervention, where we're looking at, I wouldn't even call it intervention, but you're looking at universal design for learning. So we're teaching the educators how to understand the neuroscience behind the different profiles of each of the students, and then how to design instructions based on those different types of profiles. And so you'll see a lot of heavy coaching with our teachers, and how we do a lot of videoing of their lessons after we watch it together with the coaches and walk through that. And Emily shows us a very strict coaching model to do that. So again, and then in our autism classrooms, particularly in the elementary, we work with Emily with our CERTS model. And our search model really is more of a Tier 4 specialized instructional model. It really has embedded in it ongoing assessment, so we are constantly monitoring the progress of our students and then determining the necessary supports that they need to, again, increase their social communication, how they regulate their emotions throughout the day. And as you can see on our slide, both of these models, Emily talks to us really in detail about the stages of development. And you really need to firm up each of these stages before you move to the next level. So it's definitely an area that we do a lot of professional learning in. And then the last thing I wanted to share, which I've been very involved in, is our Aspire program. As you can see, active student participation inspires real engagement. This is actually an initiative that was started at the Department of Education, and we have been on board for 3 years now. So this covers K through 4, and it really is a way that we increase our students being a part of that IEP development. And ultimately, we want them to run those meetings is to the level that they can. But we do activities that the students do, like, for example, we have something called the one-pager, where the students identify what their strengths are, what areas they may need additional support, what areas do they want people to know about them, and they share that with the parents either at the IEP meeting or they record it, and talk about starting off an IEP meeting very positive and setting really a stage where parents know that we're all there together. We're all there to support their child. So that's K through 4th right now, and we want to see it continue to grow.
Debbie only let me have one slide in 30 seconds, so I've got to make this very quick.
The clock's running.
Yeah, I know. I feel a little cheated here, but anyway, we are in the infancy stages of positive behavioral interventions and supports, and it really is a spotlight in itself. Just to give you kind of a brief summary of it, I would just like for you to think of it as kind of the shell of everything that these ladies have been talking about. If you go into a school like Chestatee, what you will see is you will see very simple expectations on the wall, usually only 3. Not a series of rules, not as a series of if you do this, you're going to get this, but expectations that are very simple for kids to understand. From those expectations, each area of your school, your classroom, your hallway, your bathrooms, your cafeteria, you build on those expectations and teach expectations for those areas to the kids, and you maintain a consistency so that when a child leaves one classroom and goes to another classroom, they have the same expectations. It doesn't mean that a teacher doesn't have leeway in her class, and positive behavioral intervention certainly is not discipline without consequences, but it is unifying your expectations across the school so kids know what to expect. The ultimate goal is that we will have PBIS in every school, so from the time kids enter kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, they will have unified expectations that all kind of tie together. The bottom line with this is what we want to do with kids. We want to recognize good behavior. We want those kids to be the model for all of the kids, and that is the foundation of positive behavioral interventions and supports. We also want to recognize outstanding work with our teachers. It goes over into teachers, administrators, and everyone. Each school has a PBIS team of approximately 10 to 12 people to include admin, your coach, multiple teachers, possibly from grade levels or subject areas. They meet once a month to look at data. It is a very data-driven program. We're very excited. I had a school today that emailed and said that they're interested, and hopefully later on tonight, with your blessing, we'll be adding an additional person to our office. That person will take PBIS and begin to run with it to the schools. I also want that person to work closer with all of the departments behind me so that our office stops becoming just a reactive office and starts becoming a more proactive office. Mm-hmm. That is my ultimate vision for our office. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So we've talked to you about the different departments and also the proactive side from pre-K through 12, but we can't ignore the crisis intervention and the prevention and intervention. So Lindsay and Katie and Gail are going to share some things that are going on in that arena.
Good evening. I'm going to share from the prevention side of things some of the programs that we currently have placed here in Forsyth County. The first one I want to talk about is our Forsyth County Schools mentoring program that we've had here in our district for over 10 years. It is a one-on-one mentoring relationship. We have community members, teachers. We also have high school mentors that come in and work with our students, meeting with them for a minimum of 30 minutes per week for the duration of the school year. Mentoring encourages open relationships. It allows students to learn conflict resolution from who they're meeting with, gain new insights, a lot of different things mentoring can have an impact with. As of December of 2017, we had over 400 active mentors that had given 2,800 hours to our students since August. So that's amazing that we have a community who enjoys giving back to us. And so far this year, we've trained 185 new mentors. So we foresee our numbers increasing for the spring semester. So we're really excited about that. This school year, we implemented 2 new suicide prevention programs, one of those being Signs of Suicide, which is an educational curriculum that raises awareness about suicide and depression, and it utilizes a brief screening tool at the end of that. Our schools have given us positive feedback so far. We have that in our middle schools and our high schools, and we plan to also implement that in new schools that open in August. For Sources of Strength, we are rolling that out currently in 2 schools, one of our middle schools, which is South, and then also West Forsyth High School. Sources of Strength utilizes peer networks within a school to create change. So their research has been founded around substance use, bullying, and also suicide. So it's a really great program that we did a lot of research on. We've had a lot of community partners that have helped fund that for us, and we're looking forward to expanding that in schools coming this fall. For substance use, we have a ASAP grant, which stands for Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Project, and that is awarded through the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. It's a 5-year grant. We're in year 2, and that grant focuses on alcohol use. That is the primary drug of choice that our students report to us through the Student Health Survey. And through that grant, we address our strategies by providing Too Good for Drugs curriculum for our middle school students. We also go out and do parent presentations and community presentations that are educational, talk about the developing brain, and we also have our I Have a Choice media campaign that you've probably seen out in the community and through our brochures that we develop and hand out. So.
Right, so Lindsay talked about a lot of our prevention services, but for those students who are in distress, we met with all of our different departments and developed a program for community mental health professionals to come into our schools, and our community has been very generous in providing some grant funding for those students who don't have the funding to access services.
Thank you. And we also have been partnering with different nonprofits like NAMI and then also Mental Health First Aid to help come in and do some trainings for our staff about what mental health is, what mental illness is, what are some prodromal symptoms that could be identified and then referred to a mental health professional. So we have that. Another thing that we have been using quite a bit of is mindful fitness, and I'm not talking Jane Fonda here, but just a technique that's used in the therapeutic and the educational world for students to help them emotionally regulate or feel grounded, be able to have some self-acceptance without judgment. And I think that's important too because of everything they're exposed to. It's easy to not feel as connected when you don't have acceptance of yourself. So a lot of this research and these techniques help students reduce behavioral issues, have some behavioral issues, decrease stress, improve focus, memory, and positive emotions while reducing those stresses. And so it can be also used in the classroom, some breathing techniques that some of us in our department have been trained in, and that Debbie's been gracious to extend that to other professionals in the schools. And then the other thing that we are doing is a Total Wellness Collaborative, and that's a group of educators, community leaders, medical professionals, mental health professionals, coming together to see how we can help the whole student and what wellness looks like for us and our community and for our learners who are in our schools. So we really wanted to mobilize this group to look at different needs and gaps that we have in each of these areas. We call them petals. Looks like a little flower on the screen. But what do we have gaps in our community in these areas, and what are we doing well in? And looking at these different needs, assessing the health and wellness. And we want to be able to make sure that our students feel balanced. I know Dr. Bearden talks a lot about balance and what success looks like in one student may look different in another, but how do we help them achieve that and be able to move forward and be a productive citizen in our community. So very quickly, next steps. The first thing we are going to be doing is getting a framework over the next 5 to 7 years. Most likely we will hire somebody from the outside to come in and work with this entire team and prioritize what needs to come first, second. It'll probably start with a needs assessment of what we're doing well and what we need to shore up, and then prioritize the strategic plan, learning and growing goals. And then what is it that we need to do to build capacity? We want to continue the initial SEL training for leaders, counselors, and academic coaches and teachers, and identify additional professional learning needs for our leaders, our educators, and support personnel. Communicate, inform, and partner with parents and community, and then continue to grow support through our partners in education, which we've been so blessed to have so many donations. So we are very grateful for where we are right now. We'll be glad to come back and give you updates as we move forward. If this isn't enough information for you. But I did include in this last slide some links you can go to get some more information if you have questions. You're also a member and can access the Team Google Doc that's entitled the District Social Emotional Board Presentation, and in there are a lot of documents that you can access to. Okay. So do you all have any questions?
I just feel like that for all the years that we've developed strategic plans and all of the educational things that we've done, that this has been the missing piece, that it's the almost the glue that's going to bring it all together. And as we talk about Dr. Bearden, his balance message to all of us, but it's taking each child where they are and helping them move forward and have the confidence to move forward. When you see the 3 students that were here that are doing so well, I can imagine. I could never have handled what they do. But to be able to identify what each child can do and to give them the wherewithal that they feel so good about themselves that they can challenge and be confident when they go out into the real world where they have to face challenges that they don't even imagine. This is the glue, Debbie, and I just commend all of you for the work you've done, because this is what you're doing now is going to make everything else happen the way it should. So thank you.
We're excited about it.
And I think it makes sense to start with staff. That was a very good insight you had, because I know in working with parents of addicted adolescents, I have to start with parents. I have to get them on board, have to get them off their emotional roller coaster, have to get them focused on what they're doing. And I think what I heard through all of it, this is very complex stuff, but at the simple, you boil it down and get down to the basics. It's all about not being an island unto yourself.
That's right.
And I saw that consistently through everything we talked about here. And then it's sustainable because you put it in the induction program, so we now make sure those new people come in on, because they're stressed too.
Yes.
We found that over the years as these new teachers come into Forsyth County, they're stressed. And so helping them along, getting them on the same boat and looking at that child, it's so important. And so I see a lot of good stuff happening. And like you said, the 3 that were here earlier exhibited, it wasn't about just each one of them. It was about their team. They had built somewhat of a family within the school and have something to bounce also when they do have a stress. They're not dealing with it just themselves. We teach you how to deal with it internally, but a lot of that is to work with somebody else. And so to build that family connection that we've talked with principals about. So I think it's a job well done, and keep going.
This is the kind of stuff that's going to prevent things like what happened in Florida.
That's our hope. Yes.
Well,
So-
to that point, I mean, we all are getting asked constantly, what are we doing around school safety? And everybody knows we're doing the safety audit. And there may be some things we need to do around facilities. We may need to add additional school resource officers. Obviously, we need to continue with the See Something, Say Something campaign. But in terms of a long-term possible solution to a very complex societal problem, to me, this is the road we need to travel around social emotional learning and building those skills with our children very early, starting from the time they enter school in kindergarten. But I agree exactly with what you said, Tom. Our adults need to have those same skills, because if we're going to model that and teach that, our adults have to possess those skills as well. So that's why this is not a, we're not going to be able to do this overnight. And Debbie talks about a map of 5 to 7 year plan, but the work has started in earnest. I want to make sure that that's clear, that we're doing a lot of good work throughout our system, helping students in crisis and students dealing with a lot of issues. But a lot of times our public wants a quick fix to what is a very complex problem, and there is no quick fix. Yes, there are some things we can do to hopefully be very proactive and more proactive than we are now, but in terms of long-term, this is the right work.
Yeah, it's not all about testing and grades,
No,
right?
it's not.
We keep getting accused of
That's
that.
Right.
And this is a perfect example of where we're really focused on the real foundational elements of
Yeah.
the being of the student.
Right.
And then we start working with them to become better.
Right.
And that's why it has to come from each and every classroom, every
Right.
teacher modeling it, because there's so many wonderful programs out there. You can't possibly, well, let's pull out kids. It's like teaching the Spanish and you teach it once a week. You can't do it that way. It has to be embedded. It's like how we started years ago, embedding the Schlechte Foundation. We have to get that foundation, and that too took years and years to get there. But now it's like you don't know it until you go to a presentation again and you see it again and go, oh yeah, we do that and that and that, and people they're sitting by you going, you do? They're just amazed. But I said it didn't happen overnight.
No.
Like you say,
Those
it's
are the
going to take
norms
many,
that we're
many
trying to
years.
implement
Right.
and
So
make
we
it part
want
of
it to
our
be the
culture.
norm, right?
Yeah.
And the way you're starting with the staff first, it's not going to be one more thing for them to go right to teaching the students. They're going
Right.
to be living and doing it themselves first, so it will become natural
Just
instead
to
of
use
one
it.
more thing to do for the students. So I picked up a copy of Grit. It's on my desk to
Okay.
read, so I hope it's.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much. It was a wonderful presentation. Next, we have action items, the delegate and alternative GSBA summer conference for 2018.
Well, you're going to that, right, Ann? Is anyone else
Yes,
going?
I'm going to go.
To Savannah?
The last one.
I'm planning on it.
I nominate Ann to be our delegate and our alternate, so she's going to do it, right? You got to be well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to go
All in
ahead and
favor?
make me alternate as backup, I'll be glad to do that. I don't,
Okay.
know exactly what my situation will be work-wise. But
Okay,
I
be
think
good.
since it's just weekend, it's not too hard to carve that day out if I
Okay.
have to.
That works.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
All right,
nominate
Nancy.
Thomas.
Thomas alternate, all right. Motion by Nancy, second by Darla. All in favor? Okay, good, thanks. We'll do that. Points of information, Dr.
No.
Beard? Nothing? All right, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to go in executive session.
One
for
second, Ann. I
Okay.
did want to bring out a point of information with everybody else here, too. This Saturday, we do have our Ghost Out down at the fairgrounds.
that's
And I want
right.
to make sure the community and you guys know that that's a big deal. We're trying to expand it every year, and I work with Lindsay and Debbie a little bit on that.
What time?
And it's going to be exciting as we start to grow it. I've heard a lot of comments about, we have it at one school, just one couple of classes of those at that school, and now it's expanded to the whole community.
Good.
So we've got the fairgrounds, it's a major community event, and we're going to try to kind of keep growing that and try to make it a positive part of the social emotional stuff that we're doing, but talk about it, decision making at
What
this
time is
important
it?
time.
What time does it
I
start?
think it starts at 11.
Todd, do you have anything you want to say about it?
11.
11 o'clock?
o'clock.
Okay, all right.
And how many different partners are going to be involved in that, Todd?
Well, I would take this blue shirt off and show them all on my back. I wanted to see them, but we probably have,
Just talk about it.
we have a ton of sponsors that are going to be there. Obviously, State Farm is our big one, but all of our first responders are going to be there, including Angel Flight, as long as the weather holds correctly. And then Lindsay Bless her, she has been absolutely amazing working with Steve. There's no way that we could pull this off without Lindsay. So
Thank you,
hats off
Lindsay.
to her. She could probably tell you a little bit more about the team maze, but we've revamped and we'll re-simulate a little bit with the auto crash. We're going to have it streaming live on a 12-foot screen underneath the canopy so everybody can see. Hopefully the weather won't be a problem. So
It's been really well advertised this year.
Yeah. Well, good. All right, entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tom and Nancy, a second. All in favor? Unanimous.